There's a story about Moshe. So this is the time of the Tsar. Famous story that the Jews used to be innkeepers. And when they used to be innkeepers, usually they had a lot of trouble with the landlord, with the landowners. But in this story, the Jew and the landlord were in very good relationship. They liked each other. The landlord liked Moshe. Moshe was making a lot of money in the inn. He was giving him the money. It was a good relationship. And of course, when Pesach used to come around, Pesach is coming, who does Moshe? Moshe has a lot of whiskey, a lot of vodka. Who does he sell it to?
The goy.
He sold it to his landlord. He sold it to his landlord. So every year he used to come to the landlord and he says, look, we Jews not supposed to have zeh, we need to sell. Remind me about the selling of the chametz. Yeah? And every year he goes like this, and the landlord is very impressed, he's very serious. Every year he comes over here. One year, the landlord comes to Moshe and he says, look, I'm very impressed by you. This holiday every year comes around. I want to see what you do during this holiday. Invite me over. So Moshe doesn't know, invite him over, but nevertheless, he's the landlord. You cannot tell him no, it's going to be a big problem. So what can he do? He invites him over for Pesach. He comes for Pesach, he eats the matzah, he eats the maror, he makes the shulchan aruch, the korech, he eats everything that needs to be eaten, have the big meal, and after the big meal, the whole table goes, L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim. Next year in Yerushalayim. So the Paritz, the landlord, looks at Moshe and says, you didn't tell me you're going. I need to find time to find a new place. So Moshe tells him, don't worry, I'll tell you when it's just before. Don't worry, everything is going to be okay. I'm not just going to pick up and go. Yeah, okay. So the Paritz says, okay. Next year, it was so good last year, so he comes over again. So Moshe goes through the whole thing again, all the other, and again Moshe goes, his whole table, L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. And again the Paritz says, you didn't go last year, but maybe it didn't work out. This year it's going to work out. You remember, you have to tell it to me. Yeah? The third year comes around. And now Moshe is already in trouble. It's 3 years in a row. He says, L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim. The Paritz take him seriously, and he is not. So Moshe stands over there, and he says, just before he says, L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim, he says to God, God, do me a favor. You didn't come until now. Mashiach didn't come until now. But for Chilul Hashem, it's going to be Chilul Hashem. Do me a favor, just come. He's expecting what he thinks I'm just saying words over here. So the question is like this. Who has the right attitude? Moshe or the Paritz? Moshe, when he says L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim, does he mean it? Or the Paritz, when he hears Moshe says next year in Jerusalem, he takes it seriously. Who's the serious one?
Both.
Both
are serious.
How's Moshe serious?
Moshe is serious. Mashiach comes, he goes to Yerushalayim.
He believes that next year is going to be in Yerushalayim?
Better.
Like the Paritz does?
He's supposed to, better.
But does he?
That I don't know.
Let's take that. So the answer is no. Moshe doesn't believe it like the Paritz. If he would believe it like the Paritz, he would come in front of the Paritz and he says, excuse me, Paritz, next year in Jerusalem, why do you need an inn? Why do you make a business? Sell everything. It takes a long time to sell. Sell this. He's not worried. Trust me, he wasn't worried the entire year that he needs to sell his money, to put it in a bank account, to transfer it to Israel. He wasn't worried about it. The Paritz, on the other hand, took it seriously. Our job over here is, how are we supposed to look at it? We say it every year. L'shana ba'a beYerushalayim, at the end of Pesach. Do we actually mean it? Or are we like Moshe? That we just say it. You say, maybe it's going to happen. It's a good thing to say. So that's what we're going to discuss. Let's start. Page number 3. בנוגע לביאת המשיח, it says, when it comes to the coming of Mashiach, הרי הכוונה היא, what God means, שעניין זה יהיה לא רק באופן של אמונה. It shouldn't be like Moshe. He believes, one day Mashiach is going to come. B'derech makif. It's called, one day he's going to come, I believe it. אלא באופן שיחדור במוח שבראש. It has to be, yes, next year in Yerushalayim has to be next year in Yerushalayim. That's the reality. Yeah? That has to be.
That's the reality, he's going to start to celebrate.
That's exactly the problem. ובכל רמ"ח האיברים, it has to be in all 248 limbs, שכולם יהיו חדורים בעניין של ביאת המשיח. He needs to believe in it. It's not just a saying, it's not just words. ובכל העניינים מתבטא גם עניין זה בהלכה. And we're going to see that this actually comes into Jewish law. בנוגע לחיוב קביעת מזוזה בבית, when it comes to putting a מזוזה on your house, יש חילוק בין ארץ ישראל לחוץ לארץ. There's a differentiation between the land of Israel and outside of the land of Israel. שבחוץ לארץ פטורים מזוזה כל 30 יום. Outside of Israel, you are not obligated in מזוזה for 30 days. Why? כיוון שעד 30 אינו נקרא עדיין דירת קבע. Because until 30 days, it's not called, you didn't establish residency. It takes 30 days to establish residency. כי אם דירת ארעי, it is called a דירת ארעי. It's just like a sukkah. It's temporary. Good. Let's look at the source. Source number 1. הדר במלון בארץ ישראל, somebody who lives in an inn in the land of Israel, והסוחר בית בחוץ לארץ, and somebody who rents a house outside of Israel, כל 30 יום ראשונים ששוהה שם פטור מן המזוזה. The first 30 days is not obligated in מזוזה. ומכאן ואילך חייב, from here onwards he is obligated. So the question is, וצריך להבין, we need to understand. So something doesn't make sense over here. So we kind of understand the logic, right? Kind of. So it says, the idea here is actually in Eretz Israel you might not be obligated in mezuzah also in the first 30 days.
Why does it say malon?
No, I'm talking about in your own house. You bought a house, even in Israel you might not be obligated in mezuzah.
Oh, for 30 days.
For 30 days. So it says, it looks like, why did they put you 30 days? To encourage dwelling in the land of Israel. You say, this is serious. Now, to encourage it. There's an encouragement. You must stay here. It's one of those things. Maybe you're thinking to move. No. You must stay here. That's the idea. From the first day. You come to Israel, you moved into us, put something on the door. Immediately. Outside of Israel, there's no need to encourage you to stay here.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Makes sense.
That's the idea. Yeah. Okay. וצריך להבין. Now we have to understand. מצינו לגבי חיוב מס על בני העיר. There's an obligation to pay taxes. And usually it's the mayor, it's the city, it's the village who collects the taxes. And what's the rule? The rule is, excuse me, if I come to the city for two days, do I need to pay taxes? No. A week?
You have to be
a resident. שמי שנשתהה בעיר 30 יום, it says once you stayed in the city for 30 days, נעשה כבני העיר. Now the mayor comes over to you and says, you're 32 days over here, come, pay taxes. וחייב ליתן מס. Now you have to pay the taxes. ומכל מקום, but nevertheless, here comes the problem. מי שבא לעיר להשתקע שם, somebody who comes to the city and he says, I come over here on a permanent status, he needs to pay taxes when? Right away. So now here comes the problem. When it comes to mezuzah, it takes how long? 30 days. When it comes to taxes, it's right away. And that's what we need to understand. So let's continue. Source number 2. מנהג פשוט בכל ישראל, it's the custom by all Jews, שכל וקהל משימים מס על בני עירם. Every congregation puts a tax on the people of the city. לצורך חיטים לפסח. For example, there's poor people on Pesach, they don't have enough money to buy the necessities of the holiday, so you take money from all the taxes from the people and you give to the needy. לקנותן ולחלקם לעניי עירם. To give it to the needy, to the poor people in the city. כל מי שדר בעיר 30 יום נעשה כבני העיר. Anybody who lives in the city 30 days becomes like the people of the city. וחופים אותו ליתן עמהם לצורך חיטים לפסח. And you force him to give together with them for the taxes for Pesach. וכן כל עני הדר בעיר 30 יום. The same thing goes with a poor person. Yeah, once he is established residency, 30 days in the city, נעשה כעניי העיר, he becomes like the poor people of the city, וחייבים בני העיר ליתן לו חיטים לפסח. And they are obligated to give him his needs for the holiday. וכל זה שבא לעיר לגור שמה, all this is when he comes to the city to live over there, ואומר שאינו רוצה להשתקע שמה. And he says over here, I'm not going to stay here. I'm going to move. I'm on the way. I don't know how long I'm staying here. Maybe 3 weeks, maybe a month and a half, but I'm moving. I'm on the way. But once he clicks 30 days, pay the taxes. We don't care. Month and a half, move, okay, so you can move then. Move. But 30 days, give you the money. But until 30 days, you're patur. But this is if you come and you say, I don't know. But if you come and you say, I'm staying here, I like this city, this is where I'm going to live, then it kicks in when? Immediately. אבל מי שבא לעיר להשתקע שמה, somebody who comes to the city to stay over there, נעשה כבני העיר מיד. He becomes just like any member of the city immediately. וחופין אותו ליתת עמהם לצורך חיטים לפסח. You force him to give immediately, even though you say you came to stay. וכן אני שבא לעיר כדי להשתקע שם, נעשה כעניי העיר. And also a poor person that comes to the city and says, oh, I'm staying here, immediately he gets the money. Yeah, because he is a permanent, he gets the right immediately. וחייבים ליתן לו חיטים לפסח. And we're obligated to give to him חיטים לפסח. And the problem here, it is not like mezuzah. And we need to understand, why is it not like mezuzah? Because mezuzah, no matter what, even a person who comes to Tucson and says, I'm staying here forever. Yeah?
You have the 30-day grace.
Not only has 30 days, he cannot put a mezuzah with a bracha for the first 30 days.
Oh, he cannot?
He cannot say bracha. He's not obligated. The obligation kicks in after 30 days.
Only after the...
He can't, even if he wants to, he can't. He doesn't have an obligation.
They give you a leeway, but
no,
this is not the obligation.
There's no obligation
after
30 days. That's the problem.
It's different.
Okay? So usually what do? A lot of people put the mezuzahs before, and on 30 days, they check one, or they take one off and they put a new one on. With the bracha. That's what a lot of people do. Yeah? Okay. Page 5. ולכאורה, and now we need to understand, במה שונה חיוב מזוזה? How is mezuzah different? שפטור כל 30 יום, mezuzah, you're not obligated the entire 30 days, גם כאשר מלכתחילה יש בדעתו לדור בבית יותר מ-30 יום, even if you have in mind to stay more than 30 days. ויש לו הממון הדרוש לכך, and he has the money for it. ובפרט אם הוא עשיר, שיש להעמיד על חזקתו, ומדוע ליקרא דירת קבע מיד? It says, why are you not going to say? He came here to stay. The guy bought a whole house, $5 million. What do you think? He's moving? He's not moving. Let him establish immediately. So let's see. וההסברה בזה. So the explanation. שבכל יום צריך יהודי להיות מלא תקווה שתהיה ביאת המשיח. This is halacha. Look how careful is it in halacha. It says, excuse me, a Jew believes every day that Mashiach is going to come? Every day? וצריך להיות חדור בזה גם ביחס לענייני העולם, כמו בית וכיוצא בזה. Also in your business, Mashiach is coming. Also in your house, like the innkeeper, Mashiach is coming. ולכן המתבטא הדבר גם בהלכה. That's why it comes into הלכה. שגם כאשר דעתו להשתקע בחוץ לארץ. It says, you buying a house in חוץ לארץ? It says, you're not really buying a house in חוץ לארץ. If you bought a house in Israel, you really bought a house in Israel. But if you said, I'm buying a house in חוץ לארץ, because you believe in Mashiach, you didn't really buy a house in חוץ לארץ. Why? אין זה יכול להיחשב מיד לדירת קבע. It's not immediately in your mind, I'm going to stay forever. Because in your mind, Mashiach is coming when? Now. And therefore I will need to move where? To Israel. So therefore, the first 30 days, it's not a real bite. It didn't really catch. בידעו, it says, what's the idea? שאין זה מקומו האמיתי. He knows, this is not my real house. My real house...
מה נשתנה חודש מחודשיים?
חודש makes it חזקה. There's a חזקה in חודש. I give you an example in חודש. There's a story in the Gemara that there's a couple who came to town. Yeah? A couple came to town, they came together. And after a month that they were in town, the woman went with somebody else. Yeah, and they caught her. So they wanted to give her the death penalty. Let's say, for our example, there was a death penalty to the man who was with her, to the man. And they bring them to court, and she says, "Guys, what do you want from me? I don't understand what you want from me. We are not married. We are a brother and sister."
Oh.
That's all we are. We're brother and sister. Why did you decide we're married? We came to town together. We're brother and sister. So they tell her, no. For a month, nobody in town knew that you were brother and sister. Everybody in town presumed that you were married. The month kicks in now, according to Allah. Even if you're really a brother and sister, if you can go prove it. But if you can't prove it, yeah, it kicks in. There's something about a month that kicks in. Yeah, that's kicks.
So that's the month.
That's the month of it. It kicks in. I don't care what that you don't that you're thinking Mashiach is going to come. The month kicks in and grabs you into it. Ella, he knows that why am I here in Tucson, whatever I am, because Mashiach is not here. That's why we're here. Page 6. And now comes the Rambam. A lot of people are saying, really? So Mashiach is going to come? You know, when you're talking to people about Mashiach, there's two kinds of Mashiach that people have in mind. One kind of Mashiach is easy. It's a miracle. You know, Mashiach is a miracle.
Oh.
Mashiach is going to come, hey, Hashem can do whatever he wants. But there's another kind of Mashiach that one needs to believe in, according to the Rambam, as we're going to read soon. Yes. The world is going to stay exactly like now. It's going to be fight, Russia, Ukraine, fight, Israel, people are dying, you know, people are getting stabbed, that world, and in that world you're going to go to the Arab, and you're going to explain to him, you have to be a nice boy. The world's not going to change. And the Arab going to say, you know what, I thought about it. I agree, I have to be a nice guy. No miracles. Like, actually, like the left says, you know, the nice people, you're going to tell them they're nice people, and they're going to be nice people. So you and me thinking about if that's going to happen, it's only going to come through a miracle. Today, what do you explain? Explain is impossible. You can't explain to them. So that's good. The Rambam disagrees. The Rambam thinks like a lefty. We're going to see soon. והנה, the Rambam says, בביאת המשיח, when Mashiach is going to come, לא יתעלה העולם השמיימה, don't think there's going to be a miracle. There's going to be something new. העולם יישאר במציאותו. Everybody is going to remain exactly the same. ואף על פי כן יהיה שינוי גדול ביותר. And nevertheless it's going to change. לא רק אצל בני אדם, not just by people, אלא אפילו אצל בעלי חיים, even by animals. What does it mean? שלא יראו ולא ישחיתו. The animals are not going to be bad, they're not going to destroy. Why? מצד זה שמלאה הארץ דעה את השם. Because the world is going to be filled with the wisdom of God. So let's look at Isaiah. Yeshaya, there's a nevuah, a prophecy about Yemot HaMashiach, which the Rambam is going to explain. So it says, Vegar ze'ev in keves. It says, the wolf is going to lay with the sheep. Venamer im gdir bats. And the leopard is going to go with the kid. Ve'egel u'kfir u'meri yachdav. The calf and the lion are going to go herd together. Venar katon noheg bam. And a small child is going to herd them, all these guys together. ופרה ודוב תירנה יחדיו, ירבצו ילדיהן, a cow and a bear will be together, ואריה כבקר יאכל תבל, and a lion is going to be like a cow, ושישי יונק על חור פטן, and small children are going to play with snakes, ועל מאורת ציפנו גמול ידו עדה, and he's going to put his hand on the holes where the others are. Yeah? לא יראו ולא ישחיתו בכל הר קודשי, they're not going to be bad, they're not going to destroy in all the mountain of my holiness, כי מלאה הארץ דעת השם, כמו מכסים. Because the world is going to be filled with the wisdom of God, and this is from Isaiah. Now let's look at the Rambam. The Rambam says, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, you know what? It's going to be a miracle. Isaiah, that's what you're thinking. I know. So, no. You're wrong. He says, it can happen. I'm not saying it's not going to be that. But that's not Mashiach. The real Mashiach is coming, even if it won't be. Even if it won't be. If all of these things are not going to happen,
still the Mashiach can be.
Still Mashiach can be here. So let's look inside. And look at how the Rambam says it. Al ya'aleh al halev. It says, I know what you're thinking. Don't think that way. שבימות המשיח ייבטל דבר ממנהגו. It says the whole nature of the world is going to change. Don't think that way. של עולם. או יש שם חידוש במעשה בראשית. I know what you're thinking. There's going to be a new nature. Everybody is going to be... It says, no. אלא עולם כמנהגו נוהג. It's going to be the same world. Putin is going to say Putin. Zelensky is going to say Zelensky. The Arabs in Israel are going to say Arabs in Israel. Yeah? And everything is going to be exactly like today, and Mashiach can come. Let's continue. Strange, huh? So it says, hey, I know Yeshaya. Yeshaya is the problem. It says, Yeshaya says, there is a change in nature. It says, lions are going to eat hay. Lions eating hay is change of nature. What are you talking about? So it says, וזה שנאמר בישעיה, it says, I know what you're thinking, he says. I know the prophecy in Yeshaya, and I know how you're learning it. It says, וגר זעיר עם כבש, ונמר עם דרבץ. It says, in the fact that it says that the lamb is going to be together with the wolf, and the leopard is going to be with the goat. What is that? It says, mashal v'chida. It's an analogy. It's not talking reality. It gives you an analogy. The mashal. עניין הדבר, it says, you know what it means? It means simple. שיהיו ישראל יושבים לבטח עם ראשי עקום. It says, all it means is that the Goyim and the Jews are going to have a peace treaty. You know, just now, in America and Canada, they have good relationships. Yeah, same thing. The Gaza and Israel are going to have good relationships. So that's what's going to happen.
All the world. Actually.
Yeah, with all the Arabs. Yeah, with all the Arabs. Yeah, Israel are going to be happy with everybody. המשולים כזאב וכנמר. They are analogized like a wolf, like a leopard. שנאמר, in ירמיה it says, זאב ערבות ישדדם ונמר שוקד על עריהם. It brings the liken to a wolf and a leopard. ויחזרו, it says, what's going to happen when Mashiach is going to come? יחזרו כולם לדעת האמת. It says, everybody is going to start and saying, you know what? Either they come through science, I don't care how they come, but you know that there's something there. We didn't understand. And everybody says, hey, there's something there, correct? Nothing changed. Regular people. Nothing changed. There's something there. ולא יגזלו ולא ישחיתו. They're going to be nice people, you know, like the normal American over here. He doesn't steal, he doesn't cheat. It's possible. So the Arab is also not going to steal, not going to cheat, not going to murder, not going to be happy when somebody is, when a Jew gets killed, doesn't celebrate. It can happen. The same way in America it can happen. It happened in America. It can happen also to the Arab in Israel. אלא יאכלו דבר המותר בנחת עם ישראל. He says they will not take something that doesn't belong to them. They will coexist with the Jewish people nicely. שנאמר, ואריה כבקר יאכל תבן. This is what it means that the Aryeh is not going to go eat somebody else. He's not going to take something from somebody else. He's going to be happy with what he has.
He's not going to after the sheep that this is Israel. He eat teven, he eat kash.
Yeah, whatever. And whatever is that belongs to the guy, that belongs to you. I'll find something for me. That's fine. That's okay. It can happen. Look, it happened in America to an extent. It can happen in other places. There's many nice people in the world. So just like it happened, it can happen over there. וכן כל כיוצא באלו הדברים בעניין המשיח המשלים. So it says everything else, this is just an analogy. ובימות המלך המשיח יוודע לכל איזה דבר היה משל ומה ערב זה באמצע. When Mashiach comes, we're going to understand how exactly this works. We don't understand exactly now, but Mashiach is going to come. So we understand the Rambam. The Rambam is saying, look, we don't need big miracles. Nothing is going to change. People are going to stay the same way as they are right now. They're just going to be nice people. Can happen, just like it can happen in America. We have nice people in America. Putin is going to become a nice person. He's not going to start taking this part and that part. Zelensky is not going to be crazy. Whatever the thing is, everybody's going to be nice. That's what it says. Okay? The Ramban, Nachmanides, on the other hand, immediately looks at the Rambam and he says, cannot be. Cannot be. Think. The Rambam says, really? You think without miracles this can happen? No. So the Rambam says, yeah. It happened in America and Canada. Why can't it happen it happened in the days of Shlomo? Everybody was happy with Shlomo? Yeah. So it happened, it's natural. Don't rush to miracles. You don't have to go there. Yeah, it's hard, I understand. Okay. I understand, but it's possible. Okay. Theoretically, it's possible. Okay. Let's look now at Nachmanides. Nachmanides says like this. וזה שאמר הכתוב, it says, this is that it's written, ושיעשע יונק על חור פטן, that a small child is going to play with snakes, וכן ופרה ודוב תירנה, and a bear and a cow are going to shepherd together, ואריה כבקר יאכל תבן, and a lion is going to eat just like a cow, hey, כי לא היה טרף בחיות הרעות, רק מפני חטאו של אדם. The Ramban explains, you think it's the natural state of the animals now. He says you're wrong. That's not the natural state of the animals. When God created the animals in the 6th day of creation, He created them the same way as Isaiah described them. They don't hurt each other. Animals don't hurt each other. What happened? Came Adam and Eve, brought death into the world, brought evil into the world. Then Cain killed Hevel. They taught the animals that you can kill. And that's it. In other words, who changed the nature of the animals? Men did. We changed the nature. So, but the real nature of the animals is what? Is nice.
Like Isaiah. So he's saying he's going to go back to the Isaiah.
You don't need a miracle. You don't need a miracle. It says that's the way God created them. It's not a miracle. You're not going to change. It says the Rambam has a problem understanding it, the Nachmanides says, because he thinks it's going to be something new. He says it's not new. And by the way...
Yeah, but what would make them to go back to their source like they were created?
Mashiach.
Something.
Mashiach.
Oh.
Mashiach. That's what Mashiach is. In other words, they are going to turn exactly like the Isaiah. Not like the Rambam thinks it's not. That's what he's going to say. And by the way, he has a proof also. It says it didn't only happen in the 6 days of creation. There was also a time that it happened after 6 days of creation. It says during the flood, on the ark, the animals lived together, and you see. So in other words, what happened? What's the idea? It says Kamaim, the Torah is going to be covering the ocean floor. What happened in the ark? The ocean... all the animals were inside the Torah. It was covering the ocean floor. That's why they came back to the status that they're supposed to be. Okay? It says, ובהיות ארץ ישראל על השלמות, and since the Jewish people are going to be, in the times of Mashiach, they're going to behave the way they're supposed to behave, תושבת רעת מנהגם. It says, all the nature of the people or the nature of the nations are going to get eliminated. ויעמדו על הטבע הראשון אשר הוא שם בהם בעת יצירתם. They're going to come back to their original status.
It's in a way that Hashem is going to forgive for the first sin of Adam.
Yeah.
It's going to come back to
Think about it even better. It's not Hashem going to forgive. We are going to repair it.
To repair it. Okay.
We are going to repair it.
Okay.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
ועל כן אמר כתוב על ימי הגואל היוצא מגזע אישה. He says, now we're going to understand what it says about Mashiach that's going to come. שישוב השלום בעולם. All he does, he brings peace back. That's what it says. ישוב השלום. What do you mean ישוב? Return the peace. Which peace? The peace of the fixed day of creation. ויחדל הטרף, and the animals are going to go back to the natural status. ורעת הבהמה וכל הרמס כאשר היה בטבעה מתחילה. They're going to return to the way they were. Now the Rebbe is going to come and explain. What do you think? The Rambam doesn't know that. You think really the Rambam wasn't aware of what the Nachmanides says? So he says, we're going to see that they actually not arguing. The Rambam and the Ramban are not arguing. Let's look inside. וכמבואר, page 8, בתורת הקבלה והחסידות, like it explains in Kabbalah and Hasidus, שכל היהודים שנאמרו בביאת המשיח אינם משנים בלבד. That everything that was says about ביאת המשיח are not analogies only, just like the Rambam wrote, אלא הם כפשוטם, but it's the real reality. ומה שאמרו חכמינו ז"ל, אין בין העולם הזה לימות המשיח, אלא שיעבוד מלכות בלבד. So what did they say? What did the Gemara says? The only difference between now and Yemot HaMashiach is that now America tells us what to do. In Yemot HaMashiach, we're going to be independent. That's what it says in the Gemara. וכפי שכתב הרמב"ם, שעולם כמנהגו נוהג, and this is like the Rambam, he says that the nature of the world is not going to change. הרי זה רק בתחילת ימות המשיח. It's going to be in the beginning. It says don't say you need a miracle. It says in the beginning of Mashiach, it is possible to bring Mashiach everything natural. So don't say Mashiach cannot come because the miracle didn't happen yet. It can come even without that miracle. That's what the Rambam is trying to tell you. Don't say it's not Mashiach yet because
don't wait for a miracle.
That's right. The Rambam said, I agree that the miracle is going to happen, but not in the beginning. Mashiach himself is going to come, is going to rule, and the Arabs are going to be nice, and everybody is going to be nice, and this is even before they change the nature completely. Just politically, just like it was in the time of Shlomo HaMelech, it's going to return that way. Just like and good neighbors here in America, it's going to happen good neighbors there in Israel. אבל אחרי זה התקיימו כל היהודים שנאמר בהפטרה כפשוטם. But it says afterwards, we're going to go back to exactly what it says in Haftarah, and it's going to come to that. The Rambam is telling you that's not the proof of Mashiach. In other words, it is not necessary ingredient that you can say Mashiach. Mashiach can come even before that, even without that. That's what the Rambam says. Okay. Now we're going to go. וכיוון שביאת המשיח היא באופן האמור, ישנם כאלה שמקשים על זה. So now if you take the Rambam, some people are going to have a very hard problem with this Rambam and with how do they see Mashiach coming in our days. What? רואים במוחש בהנהגת העולם. It says, if the Rambam is correct and the movement is a natural movement towards people understanding that they're supposed to go the right way, does the world looks like right now that it's going to go the right way?
The opposite exactly.
Exactly the opposite. This is exactly what the Rebbe is saying.
The opposite is exactly.
רואים במוחש בהנהגת העולם שמזמן לזמן הולכים ומתרבים עניינים שמביאים העזק וכולו. You see the opposite. Instead of moving towards Mashiach like the Rambam says, it's moving away from Mashiach. Killing babies is no problem. The entire world agrees with, it's a good thing. Let's kill babies. And so on and so forth. And the Jews deserve it because they oppressed the Arabs, and so on and so forth. הפך השלום, הצדק והיושר. The world is moving away from truth. Not like the Rambam says, towards truth, naturally. ובפרט שהם בעלי מראה שחורה. And the Rebbe says, especially there are two kinds we didn't learn it in Tanya yet, but we're going to get there. There's two kinds of people. There's people that are called Mara Shchora or Mara Levana. What is Mara Shchora? Mara Shchora is people that no matter what happens, it's bad.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
you know, it doesn't matter what happened. They always see the bad side of it. Oh, it happened. Oh, it happened. Yeah, they came. They won the lottery. Yeah, he says, why didn't I play last week? I could have win too. This kind of people. It doesn't matter what. It's always bad.
Okay.
You know. So he says, especially people who are מרה שחורה, כאשר קוראים בעיתון אודות מצב העולם, when they read in the newspaper, Putin, Zelensky, Israel, everybody getting stabbed over there, אזי מתייראים ומפחדים. Because this is Mashiach, this is the Rambam. What's going to happen?
What will be happen?
What will happen? And then they ask, you want to tell me that tomorrow somebody is going to come and tell the Arab to be a nice guy and he's going to be a nice guy? ואיך ייתכן שלפתע פתאום יבוא אדם גשמי? You're going to talk to me, a regular person is going to come tomorrow. No miracles, right? According to the Rambam, you want to tell me a regular person is going to come tomorrow, שיכולים למששו בידיים, not a miracle, not an angel, a guy like me, like you.
Human being.
Yeah, a human being. והוא יודיע ויכריז שהגיע הזמן, he's going to say, Arabs, it's time, I'm here, let's get together. And they're going to say, okay.
Moshe Rabbeinu is going to...
Yeah, to Moshe Rabbeinu, they listen to other nations or they fought against him? No miracles. We're not talking miracles. Can you actually believe there's going to be a regular person who's going to come and going to tell them, guys, let's be friends. And everybody's going to be friends? לתקן עולם במלכות שקאי ומיד הם נגלים immediately לאחרי שעושים תשובה כמו שאנו מברכים בכל תפילת 18 לקווידוי נבי 18 ברוך אתה השם גואל ישראל כך שתוך זמן קצר ישתנה מעמד ומצב העולם מן הקצה לקצה that in such distance after like a couple of months the whole world says, you know what, this guy knows what he's talking about. We like him. We're gonna go.
This is what I believe in.
Let's go. That can happen. A regular guy, the Arabs today, you believe can do that? So he says, בתחילה תהיה אומנם מלחמה. It says in the beginning there's going to be a war. Like we say, there has to be a war in the beginning. Gog ומגוג. Yeah? Like the Rambam writes. אבל רק למשך זמן קצר. It doesn't have to be a war that everybody dying. It can be, quickly. Couple of days. Boom, boom. ואם נזכה, יהיה זה משך זמן קצר ביותר. And it's possible it's going to be a couple of seconds, even. באופן של אחישנה. ומיד לאחרי זה יתבטל שוב מלכויות. And then immediately, you know what? The UN is going to come to Israel. They're going to say, you know, this guy, the guy who just came up, forget about the UN. We don't need UN anymore. He's our leader. He's going to tell us what to do. We trust him. It looks like he's the guy. Regular people, I like him. We like him. We like this guy. The lefties, everybody.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. ולאחרי זה יהיה מעמד ומצב העולם באופן שלא יראו ולא ישחיתו ככל היהודים שלא יצא. It says, you're talking to the guy who is מרה שחורה. He is going to believe that? בשלם הטוענים הם. So these guys are going to say, אם בביאת המשיח תתבטל מציאות העולם. If you say, if you can bring a miracle, then I believe you. A miracle, God can do whatever he wants. He can bring a guy, lights coming out of his nose, powerful, strong, nobody can touch him, Superman. Yeah, then you can do something. But over here you're talking about the regular guy. A human being. אזי ניתן להבין, then we can understand, שלאחרי זה יהיה מעמד מצב שלא יראו ולא ישחיתו. Miracles, I'll go with you. The Ramban, I'll believe you. But the Rambam, problematic, I don't like it. אבל כאשר אומרים שהעולם יישאר מציאותו, it means the world is going to continue. What do you mean continue? יצר הרע, evil inclination. You're going to explain? I can't explain to my evil inclination. You want me to explain to the evil inclination of the Arab? Yeah? ואותם בני אדם שפגשו בהם היום יהיו גם למחר חולו. It's the same people that you see today will be tomorrow, and then the world will change, like the Rambam says. איך ייתכן שכאשר נמצאים במעמד ומצב שמזמן לזמן נעשת ירידה למטה יותר, הנה בשעת אחד וברגע אחד תהיה בית המשיח. It is, how is it possible when the world is going to the left and you telling me Mashiach can come anytime and natural is going to bring it? It says, that's impossible. But let's see.
נכון? He's right.
Oh. So in order to understand this, I had to give you an introduction before we start this. So there was a king Chizkiah, King David, King David. First temple. Chizkiah Melech. That's it. Very good. So he took away all the idols, he taught people Torah, and so on and so forth. Sancheriv, the Assyrian Empire, came to destroy him. They came to destroy him. Yeah. So Sancheriv, when they came to destroy him, he made a matzor, he besieged the city, and he told Chizkiah, you know what? Chizkiah rebelled against him, right? So Chizkiah came to the king of Sancheriv and says, you know what? I'm not going to rebel, I'm going to pay you taxes. How much you want? 2% taxes? I'll pay you taxes. My mistake, my bad. I can't fight with you. You're right. I shouldn't have rebelled. So he says, what would you like? What would you like taxes? And a penalty. He says, I'll pay you from now on taxes and the penalty. How much would you like for penalty? So he told him, I want 300 tons of silver and 30 tons of gold. That's what he wanted, whatever the measurement was. Yeah? And he gave it to him. He says, he gave it to him, I'm willing to be subservient. Chizkiah told him. Good. But he wasn't happy. He said, no. He took the money and he said, I'm going to destroy you.
Oh.
And I'm going to destroy you. He took the money and he said, I'm going to destroy you.
Bad guy.
Yeah. And he surrounded the city and he was about to destroy it. And then what happens, that he was told that there was a king of Kush was making trouble. So he says, hey, this is a small little problem. I'll come back to them. He went, he defeated king of Kush, he defeated king of Amram, and then he came back. That's the story. Mm-hmm. Okay? So let's start.
And now
he's coming back. Yeah.
Jerusalem.
And by the way, I think he had at the time probably above, I think like 130,000 men. And you're talking about an army at those times, 130,000 was a huge army. And you can imagine, old city Yerushalayim, how many people are inside? You can, yeah? So like this. והמענה על זה מרומז בכך שהתחלת ההפטרה של האחרון של פסח היא מהפסוק עוד היום בנוב. So we're going to learn the Haftarah and then we're going to understand why we read this Haftarah specifically on האחרון של פסח. So it says, עוד היום בנוב לעמוד ינופף ידו הר בציון גבעת ירושלים. Still today to stand in Nov, he waves his hand towards the mount of the daughter of Zion, the hill of Jerusalem. So Rashi explains, this is, I have no idea what it means. This is in Isaiah, it's again a prophecy. Let me understand what's going on over here. So Rashi it says, כל הדרך הזה נתלבט כדי לעמוד בעוד היום בנום. So it says the entire day he went harried with his army to stand on that particular day in Nov. Why? Why did he hurry? Where is he hurry to? He can capture it tomorrow. What's in hurry? לפי שאמרו לו הצטגיניו, because he had, what do you call it?
Idol worship.
Yeah, the stars, the guys with the stars here that told him this is a good day. This is your day, this is a good day, it's good for you. It says, אם תילחם בה היום תכבשנה. It says, if you're going to take the war today, that's the day you're going to win. וכשעמד בנו וראה את ירושלים קטנה, he brought 130,000 people. He saw Yerushalayim, a small city, you know, you can look at Yerushalayim and says, what is this? It says, I can eat it for lunch. It's nothing. לא חש לדברי הצטגיניו. He wasn't worried to all the prophecies. והתחיל להניף ידו בגאווה. He says, I'm Popeye. וכי על עיר כזו הרגזתי כל החיילות. He says, I don't understand. I brought 130,000, I could have brought 20,000 and I would have won the city. לינו פה הלילה ולמחר ישליך באיש אבנו. It says, let's sleep over here. Tomorrow each one is going to throw a small stone. The city is gone. Yeah. The Rebbe says, כבר היה דבר לעולמים. So it says, it was this story before. בזמנו של חזקיה, at the time of חזקיה, שעלה סנחריב על ירושלים עם חיל גדול ביותר, סנחריב came to ירושלים with a huge army, ומיהר כדי לעמוד בעוד היום בנוב, he hurried because it was an auspicious day on that day תנוב, לפי שאמרו לו תגנב, אם תילחם ביום תכבשנה. They told him, today is a good day to conquer it. וכשעמד בנוב וראה את ירושלים קטנה, לא חש את דברי תגנב, התחיל להניף ידו בגאווה, וכי על כל זה הרגזתי כל חלות. He says, I don't need miracles, I don't need nothing, I can destroy them whenever I want, I'm not worried, not today, I can come in whenever I want. כלומר, which means, סנחריב היה אז בתוקף גדול ביותר. סנחריב was very powerful. הן מצד צבא הארץ. First of all, he was powerful. Why? Because he had the army. שבא עם חיל גדול ביותר. והן מצד צבא השמיים. Not just because, physically, spiritually also. On that day, if he would have attacked, God would have given it to him. It was his day. Yeah?
And they told him.
And when they told him, it was his day. So he had the big army and the big help from heaven. כמובן מדברי ההצטגנים שמזלו של היום הזה הגום לכבוש את ירושלים. Like the star guys told him, today is a good day. והיינו, what do we learn? שהמלחמה של סנחריב הייתה לא רק מלחמה גשמית. It wasn't just a physical war, אלא גם מלחמה רוחנית. It was also a spiritual war. הוא מודגש ביותר על פי המבואר אודות שרשו של סנחריב למעלה. And we will learn it maybe some other time about the root of סנחריב up high. What does he symbolize? ומצד כל העניינים, הנה על פי מהלך הטבע היה צריך להיות ניצחונו של סנחריב. And because of his root up there in heaven, and because of his physical power, he should have won. ועד כדי כך, and it says, and how do we know this? Because when Sancheriv came on Yerushalayim, the Sanhedrin paskened. The Sanhedrin paskened. What did the Sanhedrin pasken? It says that he's going to destroy us. We can see it.
Wow. So
therefore, they saw it. He's going to destroy us. For sure. We can see that he's going to destroy us. Therefore, let's go make peace. That's what the Sanhedrin says. That's what the Sanhedrin says. שאפילו בין חברי הסנהדרין נמצאי כל השתנו שאין אפשרות לנצח את סנחריב. And they were going, it looks like, according to Torah itself. That's what they were saying. You can do to him. So let's look inside. שבנה שהיה סוכן ושר אצל חזקיה המלך. Who is this member of the Sanhedrin that was talking? It was a guy called Shevna. He was a high general in Sanhedrin, both physically and spiritually in Yerushalayim at the time. היה תקיף וחשוב מאוד. He was very important. How important was he? והיה דורש ב13 רבבות. When he used to give a speech, he used to have 130,000 people come to his class every day. Whenever he used to give a speech, 130 people come to listen to him. שהיה לו קהל גדול כל כך, שהיו שומעים דברי תורתו ונשמע לדבריו. That there was every time he used to give a speech, a class, 130,000 people used to come. ואילו חזקיה המלך עצמו, and you should know, that he was more popular than חזקיה. חזקיה, the king itself, היה דורש ב11 רבבות. He would only, how many people would come to the class of חזקיה? Only 110. In other words, people understood him, liked him better than the king himself. Shevna. So it says, כאשר בא סנחריב, when Sancheriv came, וצר על ירושלים, and he made the מצור on ירושלים, the siege, כתב שבנה פתק. Shevna disagreed with Chizkiah. Chizkiah says, we're going to fight. And Shevna says, he saw in the stars, he saw in everything, he's a Talmid Chacham, a general, everything. He saw, we're going to lose. He says, he told Chizkiah, you're killing us. Yeah? And Chizkiah was a king. He did whatever he wants. He's the king. So כתב שבנה פתק, so Shevna wrote a note, וזרק אותו מעבר לחומה בחץ, and he threw it outside of the city wall with his arrow. באותו פרק כתב, in that note he wrote, שבנה וסיעתו השלימו עם סנחריב. It says, we are peace with you. But you should know there's a problem.
We're giving up, not
We'll
only
get-
peace.
Yeah, we want peace with you, but you should know there's a problem. ומוכנים להיכנע. We're going to give everything. חזקיה וסיעתו לא השלימו. But this Chizkiyahu, that's right. He says, I saw that you're going to win. That's it. It's finished. I saw. Okay? So we need to understand what's going on over here. Just for our understanding, I don't see it says over here, so I will say it. I don't remember which prophet was it.
ישעיהו בן אמוץ שבא לחזקיהו מלך.
It was Yeshayahu. It might be Yeshayahu.
ישעיהו בן אמוץ, הוא בא לחזקיהו מלך ואמר לו, מת אתה בעולם הזה ולא תחיה לעולם הבא?
I think that was before.
Oh,
I think that was before.
before.
Yeah.
זה לא-
Okay, it doesn't matter. The prophet told him, no matter what, don't give up.
Oh,
That's why he was continuing all the time. Yeah. וכיצד היה ניצחונו של חזקיה? It says, and how did חזקיה win? לא על ידי זה שקיבץ חיל גדול להילחם נגד סנחריב. He didn't get a new army. That wasn't what he did. אלא כדברי הגמרא בפירוש הפסוק. It is just like the Gemara explains on the verse. It says, חובל עול מפני שמן. It says, the yoke of Sancheriv was destroyed. חובל עול זה מה שיש על ה... עול זה על הפרה. מזה ששבר את העול של סנחריב, this one was destroyed, the yoke of Sancheriv. How? Because of oil. Or because of fat. It depends how you read it. Because of oil or because of fat. What does it mean? חובל עול של סנחריב, he took the Jewish people from under, he broke the yoke of סנחריב, מפני שמנו של חזקיהו, because of the oil of חזקיהו. What's the oil of חזקיהו? שהיה דולק בבתי כנסיות ובבתי מדרשות. The oil that used to be in the shuls so that people can learn Torah. He supplied
light.
the lights.
Give them light so they can learn.
מה עשה? What did חזקיה do? נעץ חרב על פתח בית המדרש. He took a sword and he put it on the opening. ואמר, and he said to the people,
Okay.
every beit midrash over there had a sword outside and a big note written above the sword. כל מי שאינו עוסק בתורה ידקר בחרב. He says, you guys are not sitting down here learning Torah. You come out, someone's going to take the sword, take your
Life away.
life away. I want everybody inside learning Torah. That's what I want. ולא מצאו תינוק ותינוקת, איש ואישה שלא יהיו בקיאים בהלכות טומאה וטהרה. It says the entire congregation, women, children, babies, knew the laws crazy inside out. And the laws of Tumah and Tahara, we didn't get to it in Sanhedrin, the most complicated ones. Those are the most complicated ones. והיינו, what does it mean? שהתעסק בהרבצת התורה וחינוך על טהרת הקודש. It says, you know how we're going to win this war? By learning Torah. ואילו בנוגע למלחמה האחרת, it says, excuse me, we learn from Purim, that's not the way. You have to do something. You have to prepare. What is it? But he didn't. בנוגע למלחמה עם סנחריב, when it came to the war with סנחריב, ביקש ואמר לקדוש ברוך הוא, he came in front of God and he told him, אני ישן על מיטתי ואתה עושה. It says, God, I trust you. I'm going to sleep good. It's your job now. I did my job. You wanted the Jewish people to learn Torah? I'm sleeping good. It says, in other words, my conscious God is clear. I did everything. You have a beautiful nation. Look at the nation. Everybody's learning Torah. Babies. Yeah? והקדוש ברוך הוא הזכיר לך. God says, you know what? Such a crazy guy. Says, I like him. I like him. ואמר אני עושה. Maybe it's not the regular way, God says. You're right. It's not usually the way I set it up. But because you are gun-ho all the way.
all עם ישראל you talk.
That's right. Since you're a special person, I'll go with you. שנאמר ויהי בלילה ההוא, and it says, what happened that night? יצא מלאך השם ויח במחנה אשור. An angel of God came out and he destroyed everybody. וכדאית בגמורה, אוזניים גילה להם, he revealed the ears, ושמעו שירה מפי חיות ומתו. They heard the heavenly angels sing and they died. So it says, so what do we learn from this? זוהי גם ההוראה בנוגע לימינו אלו קודם ביאת המשיח. It says, look what happened over there. How did this direction went? Where did direction go? Much worse than today. Much worse than today.
I'm going to get you today.
And in 1 second,
turn around.
Did anything change?
Just the Torah. The learning of the Torah.
Did anything change? The people changed? The nature?
No,
Mashiach can come
without
just like that. This is the explanation for the Rambam. You see? זוהי גם ההוראה בנוגע לימינו אלו קודם ביאת המשיח. It says, you worried. People are dying left and right in Israel. Russia, Putin, Third World War, the whole world, the prices of gas. We're talking about prices of gas soon. אין להתפעל מכך שבמעמד ומצב ההווה הוא באופן שמיום ליום נעשה גרוע יותר. It says, every day it becomes worse and worse. כי ברגע אחד יכול המצב להשתנות בתכלית מן הקצה לקצה. It can change from one to the other. ואופן הפעולה בזה הוא, and the way it can happen, לא מתוך שטורים קונקרט ים סוף. You don't need a miracle, like the splitting of the Red Sea, וכיוצא בזה. ולא על ידי שמרשים בעיתונים. You don't need to put on your Facebook page, I support Ukraine. What does he do? I don't know what he does. Yeah? You don't have to put articles in a newspaper to write, the UN is wrong and whatever. No, that's not what it is. What do you have to do? So it says specifically, יש להשמיע את שירת המלאכים. You have to make sure that the songs of the angels are heard.
What does that mean?
What does it mean? לעסוק בחינוך על תורת הקודש, learning Torah. The songs of the angels, learning Kabbalah, learning Torah, learning Mishnah. People know what to do. כפי שתהיינה הנהגה על ידי חזקיה. It says, this is what you have to do. You want Mashiach to come? You want זהו? I'm going to write an article. I'm going to say this. I'm going to build an army. Learn Torah, learn Torah. חסידס, גמורה, משנה. ועל ידי זה באים לגאולה האמיתית והשלמה על ידי משיח צדקנו באופן שמיד הם נגלים. I just want to say one more thing. At the time, this was a story with Elisha. You might remember this. I don't remember. There was it was in Shmuel. I think it's in Shmuel. The story is in Shmuel. There was a king who, again, the city was in Matzor. I don't think it was Sancheriv. It was somebody else. The city was in Matzor. And there was a case that two women came to the king, and everybody was starving over there. And the woman came to the king with a court case. What was the court case? The one woman says, we had an agreement that yesterday we were going to kill my baby, we're going to cook it, and we're going to share it and eat it together. And the next day we're going to cook her baby and eat it and share it together. So yesterday I cooked my baby, killed it and cooked my baby, and we ate it together. And today she cooked it by herself and she ate it all by herself. Yeah? The king at the time, when he heard this thing and everybody was starving, he had the prophet Elisha coming to him, and he wanted to go and kill him. He says, I want to go
to kill Elisha?
To kill Elisha. And he says, why? Because it's because of your fault. You didn't do anything. You didn't daven for us. That's why we're in this trouble. So he went, and before he came to Elisha, Elisha sent him a note. And the note says like this, that tomorrow at this time, that's what the note says, tomorrow at this time, what's going to happen? Let's say the price of gasoline today is how much? $7 in California? Tomorrow at this time, the price of gasoline in California is going to be 25 cents.
25 cents.
That's what he told him.
Okay.
Elisha. And I'm asking you, tomorrow at this time, the price of gasoline can be 25 cents?
Forget it. No way.
Over there, they were talking the price of chita. Because the people were tired.
So
But it's the same idea. Same idea. The price of
Yes,
gasoline. Forget it. It was exactly the same thing. The price was sky high because everybody was starving.
Right.
And he says, tomorrow it will be worth nothing, garbage. And he says, crazy, it cannot happen. And what happened during the night? During the night, God came, he killed all the enemies that were outside, and the rest ran away, and they left all the wheat and everything behind. And the next day, that's what he calls it. And again, you can see how it can change in 1 second. 1 second can change the whole thing. One more story that I have to tell you after we're done. One time, the Rebbe was discussing one of these sikhs about Mashiach. And he was talking, Mashiach could come, you have to believe, zeu. So the businessman was during the sikha, and then a day or two later, he came to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe was telling him that he was a big view. We need money to open a yeshiva somewhere, and we need this much money, and we're going to open the yeshiva hopefully in like 6 months from now. So the Chassid was a bit confused. He says, Rebbe, with all due respect, but yesterday I was by a different Brengen, and Mashiach is coming today. And now you're telling me, what? 6 months from now, we need money for yeshiva over here. How does it work? How are we supposed to live like this? I know you're right, but what's going on over here? It says, I don't know where to go. It's like very confusing. How do you do it? So the Rebbe smiled at him, and he says, you're right, it is confusing, and I'll explain to you. He says, you remember when the Mishkan was traveling in the desert? You remember? So I told him yes. It says, so sometimes they stayed in a place for a week, sometimes they stayed in a place for a month, sometimes they stayed for 2 years, but sometimes they stayed in a place just for 1 day. So it says, so when they got there, what did they say? Let's wait and see if we're going to be here more than 1 day. Or did they build the Mishkan immediately? It says, yes, Mashiach is coming tomorrow. Absolutely. But right now, when you're traveling in the desert, right now you have to do right now. Whatever to do right now.